Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Why do we do this? This thing, we've all done it. Maybe you even did it today. But why do we feel the need to do this? Prove yourself. Prove yourself to others. Maybe even prove something to yourself. We're going to talk about that today. What motivates us in that direction? What's actually coming up for us that we don't even realize? Well, she does. She's an amazing psychotherapist, works with basically anybody, individuals, teens, couples, move their life forward. And always love having her on here. She is wonderful when it comes to her advice. Susie Engel on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Steve. How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah.
This is, when you start thinking about it, it could be almost on a daily basis that you feel the need, whether you realize it or not, to prove yourself, right?
Yeah, it may be conscious, it may be unconscious, it may be in our awareness, it may be we may be unaware of it, but I think it's a really important conversation if we delve into what are the mechanics of proving ourselves to others. Now, there's a difference between saying, I want to prove myself to myself. That's this intrinsic motivation, which I think is really healthy. I want to prove myself to myself. I want to set this personal bar for myself. But when it comes to the need to prove myself to others, that's where I think we should have a more delicate conversation about it, because it seems to me that either it's a need for external approval, which could be lopsided in people's lives. I mean, maybe we all need a little bit of that at some point. Mostly babies need that and toddlers need that. But once we get past age 4, we should be able to start balancing, like a seesaw, balancing that out. And it may be also a defense to prove myself to others. I'm on the defense.
Yeah, does it come from a place of inadequacy when you feel that you need to prove yourself?
Yeah, and which is speaking to this in-depth core self-worth. And if I feel inadequate compared to other people, and I'm putting myself below other people, that's an unconscious thing, but it happens. It's my negative false belief system about myself. And I'm going to say negative false belief system because there's no healthy baby who is born with that belief system. We are born with a blueprint to feel right about ourselves. That's why people start with symptoms of depression and anxiety, because our bodies are saying we're not feeling right about ourselves.
So how do you know that you're trying to prove yourself or just do your job or do the right thing? So, for example, let's say you've been in your field for 20 years, hypothetical, anything. And let's say you own a business and you're working with clients, but you find yourself going a little above and beyond all the time, where that's nice, you care about the client, but are you doing it because you feel that you continuously need to prove yourself, prove your worth? You don't want to lose the client, so you overcompensate. You probably don't need to. They've been with you for a long time, so they probably love you. It's all good. They trust you. They have faith in you. But you're always like, let me do a little bit more. Let me like super serve. And I get you really want to keep your client happy. But
No, we don't.
I'll shut up now.
We do not want to keep our clients happy. I mean, that is not the goal, right? But if I were in some other profession and I go above and beyond, but even if it is this profession, personally, I'm required to take continuing education. I go above and beyond the amount of continuing education for myself, for my own professional growth, because there's unlimited knowledge and more knowledge coming up in our profession. So I do go above and beyond. But is it to keep a client happy? Absolutely not. Is it to prove something to the clients? Absolutely not.
But what if it? Okay, I
I know
mean,
myself well enough.
you're not doing that. But what about if somebody is, and now we're talking about this, and then they're seeing this through a different lens, and they're thinking to themselves, maybe I am doing that. Do I really need to? I mean, I take care of them. I do a fine job. They've been happy with me for years, but I always like a little bit extra. Let me get a little bit extra. And maybe you are trying to prove yourself because it comes from a place of lack in terms of your feelings about yourself and all of that from back in the day.
Yeah. And so we're talking about the foundation of attachment, and have I internalized inadequacy, nothing is enough, not good enough, or in general, we could just speak about insecurity. If I feel insecure about myself unconsciously, I might be driven in that direction, but it's not in a healthful way. The healthful way is to identify that I'm fear based and I'm worried that these customers, or if it's a clientele, or if it's a following, I'm fear based that they'll abandon me or fire me or find somebody better. And that's coming
Yes.
from a fear-based place. And
Yeah.
if people are listening to this conversation right now, they can reflect on their own situation. And am I doing something to prove to others, or am I just letting myself flourish and be as professional as I can be
Hmm.
and be at good service to others as I can be because I have a strong foundation.
Right. Right. Just do a good job, which is what we're all
Yes.
going to do, but not go the extra mile I can see occasionally. Hey, you know what? I took care of that for you. I saw I needed to, and it's all good. Or hey, am I going to charge you for that? Whatever it is. But
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
find yourself continually, going extra, going extra, maybe you might want to take a look at that.
Yes, and I like the way you're wording that because it brings some clarity to a fundamental clinical theme, being overly responsible at your own expense.
Hmm.
So if I were in the service business, I remember because I'm a chef as well. So I had a food business for 22 years.
Oh wow.
And and my food shop was phenomenal. Everything I made homemade, everything was on display. I had a regular small menu, little glass top tables, beautiful decor. Just one of a kind because I cooked everything and baked everything. I remember a salesperson came in and he was selling some sort of beverage at the time that was really up and coming and popular. And on his way out, after I had ordered from him, he grabbed a brownie and a drink and walked out. And I had a line of customers, so I couldn't say, yo, I'm charging for that. Because just because I put in an order, didn't mean I was going to give and give and give to prove myself as a chef or as a business owner. And so it's,
I can't even just he picked up things and just walked out like, hey, thanks, have a great day.
yeah, he said, oh, thanks for the order. And then he grabs a drink from my open beverage thing, grabs a wrapped homemade brownie, and took off. And I was just insulted and disgusted.
I have no words for that. It's almost the level of entitlement in that situation.
Yeah.
Like,
And so when he came back, like 4 months later for a reorder, or 2 months later for a reorder, guess what? I charged him. I charged him for it. I said, before we do anything, you walked out with a drink and a brownie. And that's $7.99 right there. You know, yeah.
I can't. I'm like,
But if you reverse the situation And I was a fear-based business owner,
Hmm.
placed an order with this salesperson and said, "Hey, let me give you a treat today and have at it. Grab a drink, grab a dessert." That's a different scenario. I would be coming from inadequacy
Yeah.
and insecurity.
Well, isn't it also, in a way, people pleasing? If you did that,
Yes.
you would be trying to please them above and beyond. All right, you're buying from them, but it's almost as if, like, in your mind, I'm going hypothetical here. In your mind, you might be saying, well, you know what? I always want to keep them in my corner. They're a good vendor, and I want them to be on my side. So, yeah, grab a brownie and a drink on the way out. It's on me. Do you
Yeah,
really?
people pleasing. So this goes back to the beginning of our conversation. People pleasing is a defense as well. So if I have a need to prove myself to others, whether I'm scrambling as a student and want to prove my level of intelligence, so I try to, embellish how I express myself, or whether I'm a business owner. Of course, I want to have good relationships both with my customers, with my vendors, but I don't need to pay them for that. Where my being a good customer to them is being a good person,
Right.
first of all, and paying my bill on time.
I was going to say
That's
the same
being a
exact
good,
thing. You're
that
doing
is a
you're
good
doing
relationship.
your job, they're doing their job, and there's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, insert name of vendor, I have a new recipe for these brownies. Give
Yes,
it a try. Love you to
that's
try it." Let me
different. That's
right.
different,
But
right?
but how do you know what you're doing? Is it really keep tabs on the frequency? If you find yourself, giving things away, overdoing it, working more attention to people than you really need to, is it really just come down to frequency? If you're doing more of that than you really should,
Well, I think it comes down to a lot of things. You know, so let's shift from giving perks to um if somebody asks me well, I don't really want to use myself, but if we think of just a general hypothetical
sure.
where you know, a group of friends are meeting new groups of friends or new friends, and the conversation doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel natural. Like, hey, you're not going to believe what happened this morning on my way to work, da 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 da, or on my way to the gym, da 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 da. That's an organic conversation in a social setting or in any setting, as far as I'm concerned. But if the friends are all uncomfortable, they might start saying, so they might start asking questions in an interrogating way. And so then it's like the person on the receiving end may not notice that they're defensive and they're just answering to all these questions from this new friend instead of there being some sort of back and forth conversation getting to know each other. It's more like, what's your name? Where did you go to college? What's your profession? What's this? What's that? Like proving yourself.
Hmm.
And if I'm quick on that, I might shift and say something personal about my day just to get off of that type of conversation. I don't know if this is landing with you or with the audience right now, but I I think there are types of people who are very good at asking certain questions and the other person falling into the defense of answering to them and explaining themselves.
Mm.
And it's not fun.
It's not. It's almost as if you're reproving yourself in every situation, even though you may have the relationship with that person for quite some time. But I'm seeing a lot here. Over explaining, um,
People pleasing.
the people pleasing, prove yourself connection. I didn't even connect that here, but that's big right there.
Huge. And when you asked, is it just frequency? Like, how do we measure it? What I ask my clients, I mean, not my social, not friends, not family, I'm not their therapist, but clients, I might say, when they're describing an awkward situation and they're just uncomfortable about it and they're not sure if they want to pursue this relationship or this friendship or whatever it is, I ask them, go back to that situation and notice what your body felt like. And they start describing, instead of just saying, I felt very weird, da 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 da, they start saying, oh, I felt tension. I feel tension in my chest or my shoulders or in my gut. I feel tension. That means the defenses are getting riled up. And if we notice that first, then we know we don't have to answer to all of this or prove ourselves. We can just backtrack and pause.
You need to feel it. I'm getting that too. And I got even a real example. I have a small business marketing company, a couple of decades doing that, and saw a client early this morning. They asked me to come in. They had some tech issues. I was there for about an hour and a half. And first thing in the morning, I'm not charging them for that. But there's a piece of me that says, if this continues to be a challenge for them, I need to start charging for my time. Now, fixing this issue helps me in other areas where I am being compensated. So that's all good. But I am listening to myself saying, if this continues, then I don't feel good about just showing up and helping you out. Now it becomes more of my time, so I need to be compensated. But I'm fine today, hour and a half, no problem, because it's all part of working together. But I'm listening to myself and hearing it inside saying, just keep an eye on that right there. It's all good. It's all good. No issues whatsoever.
And this is a good example because the next time this person calls with the same, it's kind of like a personal relationship. If somebody is acting like they need you, which they very well might need you, but you're talking about a professional, but it could also be a personal situation, then you might set a boundary and say, hey, I was happy to work this through with you this time, but I do charge in general. I charge, and this is what the fee would be. You would say that at the get-go. Now, a personal relationship is a little tricky because somebody might be repetitive in how they pull you or anyone, not you personally, I'm not saying you personally, but how one is pulled into a situation, and that becomes codependence because then the people-pleasing defense wants to be helpful and be, come to the rescue, whatever is going on unconsciously. But the issue is it's not helping the person. If we care about this friend, we might delve into it a different way. Instead of just giving solutions, we might say, well, how are you thinking? And we've talked about this. How are you thinking of handling it? What do you think is going on that's similar to the last time we were discussing it? And I'm not saying this in a therapeutic way. I'm saying this in a friendly way.
Like our parents used to say, and it's a cliche, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So it also turns into that if you don't put up the boundaries, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think of giving an inch and they take a mile more about the parenting and the child. And then you have this 12-year-old who doesn't want to do anything with you. And you look back and say, oh, no wonder. Like, I supported it. I gave into it. Oh, you don't want to do what you don't want to do, which is also on my list of podcast topics for us that we can get to.
It's true and it's real. But if you are the person where somebody relies on you for something, and you help them out with it, maybe at some point, maybe you overdid it because you want to show your value, prove yourself. But now they ask again. They ask again for more. They ask again for more. It's not their issue. Isn't it on
It's
you?
my issue if I
Right.
keep running at their beck and call.
Right, right. And why would we be doing that? Because we're trying to prove ourselves.
And it's a dependence. So it goes back to this unconscious feeling of insecurity, because that's all it is. Whether it's inadequacy, whether I'm not good enough, all those things fall into the same bin of some type or flavor of insecurity that starts way early on, babyhood, toddlerhood, and on. And and if we become aware of it, then it or listen to podcasts like this, we start hearing our own solutions. Like, stop.
Well,
Stop it.
we started talking with people, not people pleasing, with trying to prove
Proving
yourself, proving ourselves. But then in talking here today, I see the connection to the people pleaser. And so many of us have that in us.
Yes, and their defenses. So if our parents raise us and say, I wasn't really raised like this, like be you know, be a good, well, every girl is kind of raised like this, like be a good girl. But if you're raised to be quiet and be good so that you're shining a proper reflection on me, the parent, which is really unhealthy. You know, a lot of parents are unconscious of this. If the child is developing a defense to be people pleasing, and it serves them well because they're satisfying their mothers and fathers or caregivers, and they're societally acceptable. People like this well-behaved, obedient, under the radar person.
Mm-hmm.
And but you see how it becomes a defense to satisfy or prove myself to somebody outside of myself. And then in adulthood, we're trying to prove ourselves to everybody. And that's why it's not healthy. Does it make sense?
And it goes back to our childhood ultimately, doesn't it? Most times.
It's the paradigm. Our childhood experiences are the schema, are the ways we organize and figure out the key to life. And when it's a little off or not good enough, then we're in therapy for certain symptoms, whether it's depression, anxiety. It doesn't matter. We could be pulling our hair. We could have an eating disorder. All these symptoms speak to
Yes.
what started.
And
in our
isn't it a shame?
foundation.
Isn't it a shame that stuff from your childhood, and again, we've talked about this before, it could be a comment you heard pass in the kitchen, not even
Yes.
for you. You retained it. It impacted you.
Internalized.
Look at all the time you may have wasted in your life proving yourself, being the people pleaser. And if it's feeling that way, therapy, talk about it. This is what you do. Susan Engel LCSW.com, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And
yes.
just for everybody, Susan Engel, Engel. Always great having you on here.
Thanks, Steve.
I have epiphanies from time to time and validation too. Every time we dig into one of these topics, and looking forward next time we do.
It's good for the public.
It's good. We all figured out. It's not, we share some stuff from us, but it's not about us. It's stories that you share
It's
that
about
others, that,
Human life
commonality.
and growing.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
I love
Steve.
talking with you. It's like,
Thank
wait, they're flagging me like you're out of time. We could just keep going. I mean, because
They're going like.
I'm getting that. This is what I get. That means you got to go. So we will, and we'll catch up
Tell
next
them
time.
thank you.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.